Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Magic the Gathering. Today we're talking about a deck that I've made that I think I finally found it. I think I finally found a Jeskai deck for Standard. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, either live on Twitch or here on YouTube, you should probably know that Jeskai is one of my favorite color combinations, because I am a blue enjoyer at heart. I love blue-white for the controlling aspects, and I love red for being able to actually do the beatdown when the time comes. However, Jeskai's kind of been in a weird place lately. Esper and Grixis seem to kind of do what it does better, and since there are no true tri-lands for Jeskai, it can be quite difficult to get your mana base solid. As you can tell, my mana base is kind of all over the place, and I highly recommend you toy with it and you figure out what works best for you. This has been the most consistent one for me, which seems weird to say, considering it's just 2 copies of each of these dual lands and then 2 copies of each of these tri-lands, but I found it to be the most consistent at getting me what I need when I need it. But let's talk about the deck tech now. Let's just talk about the deck in general. Let's talk about the main stuff, and then we'll talk about the sideboard, because I believe this deck does its best work in best of 3 when you are allowed to adapt to the incoming threats, much more so than best of 1, where stuff like the mono colors can be really hard to respond to quickly if you don't know to expect that. So let's talk about the 1-drops. Delver of Secrets. It's a great just on-board threat. People really don't like the card. The hate insectile aberration. It can just be like a really annoying thing that your opponent really wants to take out ASAP. Wash Away. Kind of a weird one, but it'll make more sense when we get to the 2-drops. But Wash Away is a spell that typically sees a lot of play inside of Historic Brawl / Commander, but it can be really good. It's a counterspell that is a 3-cost counterspell if you want to play it for its cleave cost, or just a 1-cost counterspell if your opponent is playing something not from their hand, meaning a Foretold card, meaning something that's been exiled, meaning something that's being played for extra, like, and say, Mono Red right now has access to Reckless Impulse, which exiles cards for them to play. Wash Away counters those for 1 blue. Pretty useful counterspell, that's why I like having copies of it. Destroy Evil, Fateful Absence, just some classic destruction spells, including hitting enchantments and hitting planeswalkers. Soul Partition, the real reason we play Wash Away. Soul Partition has a fun interaction with Wash Away in that you are exiling the cards and allowing them to play it. You can counter it for 1 blue if they try and play that exile card if you happen to have a Wash Away in your hand. It's really nice. Soul Partition isn't really like a counter spell or a removal spell, it's more of a tempo spell. But in best of 1, I like having 4 copies, and in the first game in a best of 3, I like having 4 copies, so I can just kind of like keep the tempo rolling in my favor, more so than my opponent's. It's a really powerful card. Make Disappear, another great card that kind of falls off the longer a game goes on. That's why there's only 2 copies of it, and that's why in the sideboard we have some other options to replace it with, depending on the game. With Grixis and Esper being so strong right now, it's a great card early in a match, but the later it goes, the worse and worse and worse it becomes. And Grixis and Esper midrange are kind of grindy decks. Speaking of being grindy, Silver Scrutiny is something that helps you grind with the best of them. Draw 3 cards on your opponent's turn, pretty nice. Draw a billion cards on your turn? Yes, I'm exaggerating. But draw a bunch of cards on your turn, equally nice. Speaking of drawing cards, Wedding Announcement. Wedding Announcement helps with the go wide factor of this deck, of which there is a surprising amount of go wide, as well as just kind of makes your creatures bigger and helps you draw cards. Fable the Mirror Breaker, it's one of the best red cards at the moment, and it's one of the few things that kind of holds this deck in Jeskai and prevents me from wanting to play it as just strict blue-white, as well as 2 more other solid cards, but we can get to those in a bit. The bottom line is Fable is just incredibly powerful and synergizes super well with duplicating tons of stuff that you want to have on board, like Wandering Mind. This 3-drop is something that I feel like is always been a little undervalued, but in this deck it gets just the right amount of value. It's a 3-drop that allows you to basically look at the top 6, reveal a card, and put it in your hand. It cannot be a creature, it cannot be a land, but if you look at this deck, we have 2 creatures. The rest of these are instants, sorceries, planeswalkers, and enchantments. So, sorry, 5 total creatures, 3 Wandering Minds, 2 Delvers, but you get the bottom line here. There's not many creatures in this deck, so Wandering Mind allows you to basically just shuffle through the top chunk of your deck, pick out exactly what you need, and keep moving on with the game. Fun fact, if you duplicate it with Reflections of Kiki-Jiki, you get its trigger to look through the top 6. It's a very nice combo that will allow you to essentially, if you can get Kiki-Jiki to transform and not die instantly, as it typically does. You can then you can play a Wandering Mind and copy a Wandering Mind to essentially grab 2 cards for 4 mana out of the top 6 of your deck. It's really nice. It's also a 2/1 flyer, great for blocking those flying threats that are pretty prevalent around these parts. Celestis, life advantage, card advantage, what's not to like? The Planeswalkers. These can kind of shift and shimmy depending on how many of each you like to run. I like running 1 Teferi who slows the sunset. Mana advantage, card advantage. If you can ultimate him, you are getting a massive amount of card advantage, and when you're playing a semi-controlling deck like this one, very, very, very good. Jaya. Void presence with a bunch of monk tokens, card advantage with exiling the top 2 of your library. We actually can't use her -8 in the standard version of this deck that I run. But there are sideboard cards that do technically synergize with Jaya's ultimate. However, I feel like her ultimate isn't the strongest part of her. The strongest part of her is making prowess tokens as well as giving you massive card advantage for really, really cheap. Speaking of card advantage and Void State, Wandering Emperor. You run 4 copies of her because she is the de facto planeswalker that you run in white decks. Because being able to exile attacking threats and gaining life off of it, as well as just making a massive go wide and go tall board presence, it's just great. Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. He's a planeswalker who does amazing, but he's a little slow for standard. Into a lot of the monocolored decks will be running you down by turn 5 with typically 2 or 3 or 4 creatures. And getting Teferi out there is basically just sentencing him to die. That's why we only run 1 in the main deck. We run a second one on the sideboard for if you know it's a mid-range or control matchup, and you just kind of want to like grind your opponent down with something that gives you massive card advantage, as well as potentially an ultimate that is a River's Rebuke. Very good. 2 Farewells because Farewell is just good. Farewell counters just about any matchup you could get into outside of a hard control matchup that doesn't actually run any cards that hurt you. Farewell's great. 2 copies. Always run 2 copies in my control decks that include white. And it's one of the reasons why I think that Esper is so strong, is because they can run this in their sideboard. It's one of the reasons I think Jeskai can compete, is because they can run this in their sideboard or main board. Speaking of sideboard, extra copies of Destroy Evil and Fateful Absence in case you get into a matchup where you don't want as many soul partitions or make disappears, or you just, well, they don't play a lot of small creatures or planeswalkers or Fateful Absence. I just want to destroy evil the big targets, or they're playing an enchantments deck. So you have 4 total copies of each card in the deck because I feel like being able to shuffle in and out a proper number of them depending on your matchup is pretty valuable. I found it to be pretty valuable. 2 copies of Negate are here in the sideboard in case you want to drop the Make Disappears because your opponent doesn't play stuff that you really hit with them. 1 off of Elspeth Resplendent because they're good if you're turning your deck into a go wide strategy, which this deck can do. Wandering Emperor makes token creatures. Jaya makes token creatures. Wedding Announcement makes token creatures. Fable dupes those token creatures. Teferi makes a bunch of token creatures. Wedding Announcement. You can kind of go wide and make like a big old board presence. And we have a fair number of 3-drops that you can hit with Elspeth, including the Wedding Announcements, Fables, Wandering Minds, and Celestis. So she does have a pretty solid spot in the deck, but I feel like she's not great in the meta at the moment for this deck. And there's a bunch of other cards you'd rather run, so she's just a one-off on the sideboard. Temporal Firestorm also sits in here as a one-off for similar reasons, in case you want to play it for whatever reason. That's the same reason Burn Down the House is here. It's a damage-based sweeper, so it's better into kind of go wide but not go tall decks, like a lot of the soldier creature token decks. Temporal Firestorm has a slight edge because you can kick it and protect your creatures or planeswalkers if you want, whereas Burn Down the House has the alternate option of making devil tokens. I included 1 of each because I feel like you don't need more than 1, especially if you're already running Farewell, but it's still nice to have. 1 off of Disdainful Stroke because it's just a good counterspell. If your opponent likes to play big, you can just slot that in there, drop the Make Disappears out because it's a little more consistent. 2 of Braids on the sideboard. Kind of similar reasons as the Temporal Firestorm. Sometimes you just want to pop stuff, but it is also targeted artifact destruction, as is Brotherhood's End here. I only have 1 copy of it. I feel like you could probably drop a Temporal Firestorm for a second Brotherhood's End. It's really good because of being able to just wipe out a bunch of artifacts, as well as being able to just go wide and do a 3 damage sweeper for 3 mana is pretty useful. I only have 1 copy because I only own 1 copy. I'd say if you're going to dump anything for another Brotherhood's End in the sideboard, dump the Temporal Firestorm. It's good, but it's a little too expensive. one off of Out the Dawn Sky because of the similar reason as to why Elspeth is on the sideboard, Ow's on the sideboard. It's a 5-drop. 5-drop can be a little slow when you're trying to kind of play a tempo mid-rangey game. But Ow's ability is really nice, and if you are going on the go wide strategy, like I said, this deck can do it. You can put 2+1 counters if it dies, or you can just get extra stuff on board if it dies. And then there's your second Teferi on the sideboard. This deck is fun, this deck is good, I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's an okay deck right now. I don't think it's perfect, I think there's stuff that needs to be tweaked and messed with. There will be some gameplay that follows. I'll try and grab a clip of me doing a best of 3 against a Grixis game that I got on stream the other day. So I think that was a pretty good game that showed off the deck well. And I might include some best of 1 gameplay just so you can see some fast games and see where it stands up in the standard best of 1 meta, because I know that's what a lot of people like to play in Arena. But either way, thanks for hanging out and watching. Like the video if you like this, subscribe if you want to see more content, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Alright, we are trying to record some best of 1 gameplay for my Jeskai Planeswalkers yada yada deck. Still very proud of the deck. Jeskai isn't a very common color combination in the standard meta right now, so I'm just like, I'm very proud that I found something in a color combo that I like, that I seem to be making work. This is a painful start, but a good start. Painful because both of my white sources are pain lands, but I think it's playable, and I think Double Soul Partition will keep me up until I can land a Fable. We'll see what my opponent is playing. Looks like... Interesting. Are they maybe playing Jund? Ah, it's probably a combo deck. It's probably the Fight Ringing combo deck. In which case, I think we have a pretty good matchup at the moment, because we basically just like out-tempoed their whatever, so now if they want to play Fight Ringing, they have to play without a creature on board. Okay, they're just hard playing a Gwynna. I don't think I need 2 Silver Scrutinies. Extra land is good. We want more blue sources. We play Teferi here. We tap their Gwynna, untap our Sundown Pass. Swing and make a thing. Now we hit the Gwynna with the Soul Partition. Seems a little excessive, but I don't want to wait until they potentially have protection. And it looks like they're losing out on the mana game. And so if they are losing out on the mana game, aka they're missing land drops, I don't want them to be able to ramp. Okay, well, that was a nice quick one for the video. I guess that can kind of show off the tempo-based gameplay that this deck can do. Being able to just hit stuff with Soul Partitions is just nice, I tell you what. Alright. I go first. This is not a good go first hand. This is an okay go first hand. Emphasis on okay. I think I drop the Fateful Absence here, because this is very tempo-based hand. I don't think I need the removal that early. I think I would rather be able to guaranteed get my card draw, but we will find out if this was the right decision. It also depends on the color matchup, right? That's a really bad draw here, honestly. But we can't do anything about that, right? Keep a 2-lander with a solid 1-drop. Sometimes you just don't win those. Got how to go for the throat instantly. Very nice. That does allow us to freely play Wedding Announcement. And now if they want to do something like a Destroy Evil, they gotta go for it. I think we just play this. It looks like they're playing Esper colors, and it looks like they don't have very much interaction. Swing, because there's no reason to not fight for mana advantage. Or, sorry, life advantage. I misspoke, I apologize. They could be playing the Path of Peril deck. They're playing the Drag to the Bottom deck. That's cute. I don't know why they're playing Drag to the Bottom in that deck, though. I feel like that's a little silly. I feel like at that point you should just play Path of Peril, right? Board wipe central. Alright, we don't need Jaya right now. I don't think Jaya is very good right now. Maybe play another wedding announcement and just kind of get a board state rolling. And just make our go wide into a go big. We can silver scrutiny for 2 here. They can play 2 mana spells for 1 mana right now because of Urza. I think we just hit him with a silver scrutiny and see what happens. Or sorry, soul partition. I read my card. Yeah, there's the go for the throat. They're playing our kind of weird Esper plan, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think it's kind of weird that they're running that many board wipes. But what do I know? What is Leyline Binding even gonna go for? They just paid a full cost Leyline Binding for that wedding announcement. That's funny. I'm just gonna keep playing the life game. Here comes that wash away synergy. Ah, we don't care about that Urza. Especially because it looks like they don't have anything. We just draw cards. Yeah, they have no interaction right now. Kill their Urza. We have hit the problem of this deck, and that is you get a ton of lands. I do have access to Farewell to hit enchantments, which is good. Because if I hit their enchantment, I get back basically just totally basic wedding announcement here. If they try and play the Urza from exile, I just wash away it. It's just a... I don't let them have that because that could be card advantage. Which I think is the smart play for them, if they do that. So I'm just going to keep on the beatdown plan. I could just hit Farewell to hit... Yeah, I think they're silly if they don't just play this for... I think they're silly. I think they absolutely should have played that for something different. Alright, so what do we do? Attack first. Farewell. We don't even have to hit creatures, but we hit enchantments and artifacts. We get back our wedding announcement, and they lose their Mightstone, Weakstone, and a Reckoner Bankbuster, making their life a little bit difficult here. We do have a Ganjo, so when they do this and they try and block, I kill their Urza. I don't know why they wouldn't play around the Iganjo there. Give me card draw. I have one counter spell in hand that I need to play around correctly. I need to let them have certain... Nope! I was about to say I need to let them have certain things. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I need to let them have certain things if it doesn't affect me, but that really affects me. I cannot let them have a Teferi on board. I just need one token to survive now, essentially. Okay, now I need both tokens to survive. That's sad. Nothing I can do, though. I could technically soul partition my own wedding announcement and then replay it. And just get a board presence going again, which is weird, but it is something you can do, but it's not something you typically do. One, two, three, four. Nah, I don't care. They're going to hunt for something, and I care more about countering what they hunt for than I care about countering the Teferi. They're going to pull back their Urza now, I'm sure. No, they're pulling back their other Teferi. Math is hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 mana. They can play that for 5. Gives them access to... Wandering Mind is a great draw here.
I've learned much during my travel. We've got the edge in this fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
They still only have 8 mana. If they don't untap beforehand, yep, they will. You've activated my trap card! They only have 3 open mana, unless I'm miscounting like crazy, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. And that's game! GG's! Hey, we go back up to Plat 1. We've been kind of popping up and down as I've been deck testing a lot of decks lately, so our rank's been jumping up and down, but it's nice to get back to Plat 1. Yeah, that's why I was just holding that make disappear, and why I didn't want to hit this to Fairy, because, especially after they got that back, it was a case of I wanted them to be forced to tap out for whatever they played, and I just kind of wanted to keep my board presence rolling. I don't like that they ran so many board wipes, like for their deck construction, especially they're running drag to the bottom, but they're not running the basics, right? Like they're running basic planes so far out of all 9 of their lands. You are at best getting a -2/-2 on drag to the bottom, but I guess it worked for him some. On to the next. Alright, we got a couple of games showing off it in the best of 1. And we're going to try and find a game in the best of 3 queue. If I remember correctly, I did get a solid Grixis game on stream the other day, so we'll probably pull that down onto, I'll probably go, like, download it and put it in this video, so that you can see it against, like, the Grixis matchup. Because it pretty much looked like the classic net decked Grixis. Only thing I don't think I saw was the, Ooh, I get to choose. I want to play first. This is not very good, Unfort. This is very good. Fort. I think I dump the Wandering Mind. But yeah, I got a really good game against Grixis the other day. And I'd like to show that off. Just please don't tell me they're mono blue tempo. They're mono blue tempo. Why do you play mono blue tempo? Why do you do this to yourself? Why do you play a deck that no one thinks is fun to play against? They're not mono blue tempo. I'm so proud of you. I take back everything I said. There is it. Ah, I love you, random citizen. There probably is it Prowess, which is a much more fun deck, because it actually has something you can do against it. I thought it was mono blue tempo due to the turn. Yeah, is it Prowess / tempo? Which is a pretty fun matchup. It does mean I need to change my deck list in between games, though. Because I need to run as many board wipes as I can get my hands on then, because it's probably the Go Wide version. Yeah, it's the Go Wide version with Third Path Iconoclast. I'm expecting a Balmor soon. They dumped a land, so they're very confident in their hand, I guess. Kiki-jiki. I'm assuming it's another Fading Hope or Consider or Opt or something. Wait, Opt isn't in Standard, is it? Unfortunately for myself, I cannot, Fading Hope. Cool. That's fine. I'm kind of in the hold on stage. I'm probably going to drop the Soul Partition. Yeah, I need to drop the Soul Partition here because I need 2 mana like yesterday. I'm probably going to drop the Jaya as well, because I need Wedding Announcement and mana. I just need 1 more mana, and then I can actually play the game. Right? Yeah, I just need 1 more mana. Do I die here? I almost die here. I die here now, though, so we go next, because I didn't draw a land. Alright, hard shift up of the strategy. Board wipes. Take away targeted removal. In the Destroy Evil category. We don't need any Destroy Evils. We need Brotherhood's End, we need Burn Down the House. I wish I had more Brotherhood's Ends. I think Teferi and Teferi are too slow. Give me that. And give me... I think this Teferi is actually fine. No, I take it back. I think that Teferi is too slow, though. Swap out my 5-drop for 2 better 5-drops so that I can hit the board state. Brotherhood's End for a great 3-mana sweeper. I think this will be a much better, much better thing. And it's Is It Prowess, which is a much more fun matchup. I take back anything bad I could have possibly said about this person. In case you're, like, wondering... I want to be on the play still. Believe it or not, I think this is okay. But it's a weird level of okay. It's an okay in that I don't think I will die fast enough for it to be bad. Which sounds bad, but... It is now bad. I can still Iganjo them, though, which is the important part. That's the other thing. That's why I'm like, oh, this is good. I can Iganjo with something attacks. And now I can Wandering Emperor something that attacks. I think I want to play the Mountain. And also just draw 2 with Silver Scrutiny, which is good. Third Path Iconoclast. We only -1 because we see what happens.
I'm home. We must protect.
There it is. I think that's a silly choice, though. Temporal Firestorm, perfect.
Guards, to me.
Perfect draw here. Perfect draw here. I think if they're smart, they still send something there, which gives me a little bit of life. We just take it all.
I'm never done for good.
Solid Temporal Firestorm. Drop the Reef. Keep on rolling, rolling, rolling. Not surprising. Okay, that's fine. Brotherhood's End, yes. And it'll cost me a life, but I can draw 2 with Silver Scrutiny, which is good. I can't imagine they play counter spells. That's very bad. That's very good. They didn't reveal.
Now you've done it. Hat's coming off. Let your blade do the talking.
What spell do they have? Doesn't look like whatever it is something that they want to play. So we go wide.
We must protect.
Soul Partition's a good tempo card. Iganjo is a good general protection spell. I think we hit the Swift Spear on end step. The same reason that you would Fading Hope on an end step. Tempo.
Remember your training.
I wonder what else they're holding in hand. We got out 3 of their Iconoclasts. Make Disappear, not exactly a good thing, but hey, can't win them all.
I have got new moves to teach you.
Depending on what they have in hand determines a lot of this. I still don't know what it is the problem. Delver is not something I need to be concerned about. I can just kind of keep going. I don't need to really be worried about what's happening here. I can just kind of keep slowly growing. Is that everything? Is that all they were doing? That's funny. I don't really need to be casting anything here. Alright, next round. This is why I like this deck. I think it's very good at adapting. I actually think maybe drop a couple soul partitions for 2 abrades here. Actually, you know what? No. No, I have so much white mana in the deck. I think the soul partitions are good, and it's such a good tempo card. I think this is much better adaptation. What I did the first time. I think slotting in the board wipes was the right play. Even if they are expensive, because I think it just allows me to just kind of like stop what they're doing and just like damage control. I do wish I had more Brotherhood's Ends at the moment, but I think I said this in the intro. I don't have... Oh, excuse me, sorry. I don't have the wild cards. I'm sure they'll pick on the play. Yep. Believe it or not, I think this is good enough. Which sounds weird, but I think this is good enough. I think being able to burn down the house on 5 is probably good. They're probably hunting for something. I think I play Wandering Mind here. But I think because of that I actually want to... Okay, my decision was made for me. I play Wandering Mind here and hunt for stuff. Brotherhood's End is a good one. Wedding Announcement's great. But I think Wandering Emperor is the card I want. Because that is something that they can now see. That's something about Wandering Emperor that I think works pretty well. Is that, your opponent can see it. So they, like, now visually have knowledge of it. So now they're going to play a little bit different based on that fact. So they just, like, wide swing in and I just kill their Balmor, right? Unless they have a counterspell? They take out the thing that causes the most amount of problems. They're smart. They play around it. They didn't play around burn down the house, though.
I guess that's that.
Good. That hit. Okay, they don't really have anything outside of creature targeting, I think. Doesn't look like they have anything, actually. They have a Consider. We bounce that because then it untransforms. If they swing, I know they have something that'll pump the Swift Spear. They don't, so they don't. At 0, swing. Hit all creatures. I need to find my card draw here soon. I just let this go until they start putting counters on it, I think. And once again, I think I just hold my hand. I think if they start playing stuff that puts counters on it, I hit it with a... And I think now I can cycle Jetmir's Garden, because they're not swinging. Wash Away is really good here, as is another Fable. Yeah, I think they're in trouble here. I think they're about to just slowly be nickel and dimed to death. The fact that they're not attacking says a lot about what's happening. I like my hand. Keep making them. I'm just going to keep mana ramping. Keep slowly plinking away. I have a lot of interaction in hand right now. that they really need to be worried about. And I'm pretty sure I'm, like, almost home clear. I would say home clear, but, I don't believe I'm home clear until I, Alright, yeah, I think they're kind of SOL here. We now hit it. So now we have the potential to just make a not infinite, but nearly infinite amount of reflections of Kiki Jiki on their instep. And because of that, I can just make Kiki Jikis until they, I can just make Kiki Jikis. And make Kiki Jikis. And make Kiki Jikis. And because it's on their end step, they don't go away until the beginning of the next end step, so I can now make enough until I have lethal. I think. I don't know if they're going to make me do it, or if they're just going to realize that I can get there, or what. I don't know if there's okay, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or for a nice even 10. That's 20 raw damage. Go, my Kiki Jikis! Good game. So yeah, I wanted to go get an actual best of 3 because I think that's what this deck thrives the most anyways, and I think that's a great example. I realized that my thing didn't have enough board wipes and enough interaction of the right kind to deal with the matchup of Prowess Is It, which I think is a great deck, by the way. I think it's a really fun deck too. But I realized I didn't have the interaction, so I could go in, I could sideboard in my extra board wipes, and then I could play a more controlling manner in the next games as opposed to more tempo manner of the first game. Midrange, man. It's fun stuff. I think this deck's fun. I'm also just really proud that I made it, like, myself. And that, like, I figured out a way to play my colors, goddammit. Oh my god. Land ho! We'll keep it, fuck it. I don't see why not. I don't see why not. It's all my colors. It is two of the multicolored lands that don't hurt me. And I can use Fable to cycle out the lands that I don't care about. This is probably Grixis or Rakdos. I'm not sure which. But this is a play Fable into it because they probably want to sack their Blood Tithe Harvester to kill my Goblin Shaman. Which is something that I'm very okay with. Oh, well, if they're gonna do that, I'm not gonna block. I'm gonna make them play something. I think I get rid of... I have white-red, white-red, blue-red. So I think I get rid of the extra white-red and the extra blue-white that are pain lands to draw something that's better here. If you have removal, you should have already played it. I could just soul partition the Blood Tithe Harvester here if they try and block with it. Technically speaking, I don't deal damage when I do that, but it doesn't bother me. Use Wedding Announcement here. If they replay of the Blood Tithe Harvester, I find that to be quite silly. I don't care about this thing swinging in. Kill Shieldred. Draw another Fable. That's nice. Current Fable transforms. Double swing. Play Fable. Look at this value engine. My god, so much value. Some might even call it a circus of the stuff. So here's the funny part. I don't have to sack this wedding announcement. I can sack my onboard Kiki-Jiki. And like, I don't have to sack the Fable either. I don't think so. I think I want to draw a card, and I think I want a lot of mana. Wandering Emperor is a great draw here. I'm behind on life, but that literally does not bother me at all. Have I seen all 4 of their... Okay, I've seen 3 of their 4 Blood Tithe Harvesters already. That's funny. Let's just go ahead and get a Wandering Emperor on board. Okay, interesting. Let's see what they do about that. I'm amazed that they're running Negate in the main deck. You know, I'm like, usually the Grixis deck doesn't run Negate in their main deck. Usually it's the Make Disappears. Very strange. Not really going to complain, though. I'm not really doing like that much damage per turn, but that's not really the point of what I'm doing here. I'm making a bunch of mana, so when I draw Silver Scrutiny, I can like spend a crap ton of mana for it. Alright, they just paid 4 mana for a Blood Tithe Harvester. Wandering Mind is great here, especially because I can dupe it with Kiki-Jiki. Which gets me to scroll to the top of my deck several times over. May as well. I'm assuming they're going to trade for the treasure producing Yoblin, which is the smart play. This is an interaction that I think most people forget about for is the Reflections of Kiki-Jiki Wandering Mind synergy that you can have, where you can just like copy it and then look at the top 6 of your library like twice a turn, or twice in a turn, which is really nice. It's something that the Grixis deck would probably have trouble with, which is why I wanted it. Because the Grixis deck really likes targeting things, and if you just like make them pay out a bunch with like some of the shit that I have, like the Soul Partitions. Do I just like hard kill the Blood Tithe Harvester this time? I think I might do that on my turn. Nah, I'm gonna go for the kill here. And then I'll just go ahead and draw all my cards while I'm thinking about it. Just tap out. Stop holding up priority. Seriously? Okay, that's wild. You now can't do anything, but that's wild. I guess if they had a cut down in an untapped land, they could do something. Alright. I think if it worked that well, I think I keep the deck list the same. I know that was kind of a weird one-off where I got to dupe a bunch of stuff that was good, but wow, this is a... Am I playing someone... I guess, to be fair, best of one is like the... Best of one is like the quote-unquote thing everyone plays on Arena, so it would make sense that the matchmaking would be a bit looser for best of threes. And to be fair, it could be matchmaking based off like my win-loss ratios in general, and not like my actual rankings, because my account has gotten up to Diamond several times before. I really think this matchup for me is a case of do I get to go on the play or on the draw? Because that determines a lot. Against Grixis, Especially what appears to be a pretty aggressive Grixis. This is bad. I can't play this. This is good, but it doesn't have blue, so I can't play it. Oh boy. We keep it and we cry. But I literally don't have an option. If I don't draw my third land by turn 3, I'm in big trouble. At least I have Make Disappear, right? Haha. I guess we just play Delver here because I don't have anything else. That's just really unfortunate. I don't know why they're playing the Jund Triland. Keep and Cry sounds like a great start. I don't have a choice. I already mulligan down to 5. And if they negate this, I probably just say fuck it and go next. Yeah, I just go next. It's not worth it. That was the only thing I had that could keep me in that round. That was just that was a case of I had 3 bad draws in a row. Also, I'm playing against a deck that if I don't have really good early interaction, like they're playing a Grixis deck, which Grixis is really fucking strong right now. It is, what are these hands? What are these fucking hands? I guess I keep it and dump the Articar Wastes, right? Grixis is really strong really early. And I've mulliganed down to 5. And they've removed, and I didn't draw land at first, which meant that I was now a turn behind. Then they removed my only creature and countered my only whatchamacallit anyway, so it was bad. Having to mulligan down to 5 is rough against Grixis in the first place. I think keeping the 6 here is weirdly good, though. And I do mean weirdly good, because I don't think this would normally good, but I think Soul Partition buys me enough time early that I don't have to care. And I think being able to cycle over Fiend's Tower on 3 is really nice. They clearly have a spell now. Gee, I wonder. They don't have a lot of the good lands, huh? Maybe we just cycle over Fiend's Tower here. Jai is an okay draw, but I literally cannot play her. I think we try and play Wandering Emperor and get it counterspelled and laugh/cry. It didn't get counterspelled. I guess they only have early interaction. Yeah, there it is. There's the stick. They have early interaction with creatures. Yeah, they have early interactions with creatures.
Faced with tragedy, even
let's just make a board state.
Let your blade do the talking.
It's almost like I played the way that I did so that I could fight against Invoke Despair. That's crazy, chat. I really hope they don't have another one. That would be rough.
Now that isn't
not as rough as the fact that I still don't have red mana. I can technically hit my own Teferi with Soul Partition if they try and make me Invoke Despair. I don't think that's worth it. I could just destroy their Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. I think that's a good play, probably. Destroy evil, hit that with a Soul Partition. Just kind of I used 2 cards for that, but I completely neutralized their Fable, and now I get to play my own Fable. Which is going to be really good next turn if my Teferi doesn't die before then. Really bad draw in this exact scenario, but hey, can't win them all. I'm mostly just hoping that they don't draw an Invoke Despair, but they're absolutely about to ditch 2 things for it. Yeah, they're hunting for Invoke Despair. Why else do you discard a Shieldred, right? I guess that's why, huh? I can play Wandering Mind and maybe find an answer to Shieldred pretty close. Or pretty soon.
A fight?
The smart play is to plus it. They did not do the smart play.
I've always hated crowds.
I'm gonna do none because of what I have in hand. Check with Wandering Mind. Wandering Emperor is like fine, I guess. Unfortunately, this is going to hurt me a lot.
Now that is an interesting fact.
How much do you want to save Liliana? A lot, wow. I think we just hold, because I can play my Wandering Emperor out to protect, I can protect Teferi from an Invoke Despair with Wandering Emperor. And I kept lands in hand so that I can discard stuff. This reveals more info about what they have than what I have. Who gives a shit, literally. Bloodtithe Harvester isn't that big a deal for me to deal with. Alright, well if they're not playing anything here, I try and bait out their counterspell. They didn't play it.
I've learned much during my travels. Let me show you. May your blade strike true.
Hang on. Math is hard. Don't have a counterspell. Don't have a counterspell. I always wanted to do Teferi's ultimate, chat.
I really should have seen that coming.
I lost the battle, not the war.
I really have just wanted to use Teferi's ultimate. I don't care in any way, shape, or form about if that was the right or wrong play. I just wanted to use Teferi's ultimate. I could have drawn one more land and kept him, like... I think they have some form of creature interaction or something. Oh no, they just have a cycle. Okay, that makes sense. They have no interaction at the moment. I play that as a land? No, I can cycle it though. I think I hold back on this Wandering Mind. I don't think I need to put it in danger's way. Doesn't look like they have much, which is good. So I cycle the castle, or the garden. I think I play this. They clearly have some form of interaction. I don't know what it is, though. Make a copy. Grab a wedding announcement. Do I play that here? I think I do. There's the interaction.
We've got the edge in this fight.
I know they said good game, but I don't say good game until it's actually over. My opponent could draw some crazy thing that makes it be over for me. Okay, well, if they're hunting that hard... It's not over yet. If you concede, I'll say good game back, but, like, it's not over. It's not over until... Really? Are they just spamming hello, good game over and over again? That's kind of weird. Like, I'll... That's kind of weird. I'm just gonna mute them. Oh no, they're playing a Corpse of Prey. You still have cards to play! You have a chance! I don't know why they're like so insistent that they've lost here. Okay, now that they are tapped out with me having lethal on air, I will say good game. There's literally nothing they can do to stop me here. Because I have washaways in hand. Hey, this deck took it to Crixus! I'm so proud of this deck. Yeah, we made this ourselves and it beat Crixus.